Hello, everyone. My name is Ross Tangedal. I'm an assistant professor of English and the director of the Cornerstone Press at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. In this class, we're going to learn a little bit more about the student staff publishing house, Cornerstone Press, at the university, looking at the various departments that students take part in and ways in which we engage our students with the industry that is publishing. So for the first class, we're going to introduce the press, what the press does, what the press is, and how publishing in this way works at a university level. And then we will go on from there. So here we go. This is class 1, Cornerstone Press at UWSP, introduction. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started. All right. So Cornerstone Press is the undergraduate student staff publishing house here at the university. And what that means is that students staff every department in the press. Okay, so from administrative work to editorial, production, marketing, sales, design, all of those departments that would be in a traditional publishing house environment, the students take part in. They direct specific departments, and they go from there. So we are a small independent publishing house, a teaching press meaning that all of the press's activities are built into the curriculum in the English department. We're not a student organization, we're not a club, we're not an independent entity outside of the university's curriculum. All of the work that the press does is embedded in the curriculum with the English department. We've been around since 1984, and we've published nearly 50 titles in multiple genres, though we now focus particularly on collections of short fiction, poetry, and nonfiction and memoir, with the occasional special project, as well as works of historical significance. Again, though, the way that we're embedded in the university is we operate with the support of the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point's Department of English, which is where all of our courses are embedded, which is within the School of Humanities and Global Studies, and which is within the College of Letters and Science. Okay. So what is our mission? And what do we do? I think those things are really important, and that'll help us understand, especially through this alumni engagement course, to help the community understand kind of what it is we do and why we're here. Most of all, we're here to publish books. We nurture talent, develop relationships with authors. A lot of publishing houses are quite large, and they don't have that kind of one-on-one engagement with their writers that we do. We teach the art and process of bookmaking, because it is both things. It is both a kind of a technical business process. Well, the marketing and the sales is a business aspect to it. The design and the editorial work is more of a practical art business. Together, there is the art and process of bookmaking that we teach the students. But that also our writers learn a lot about the process, because we keep our writers very close to the process, the intricate process of bookmaking. And we mentor those students who are interested in a career in editing and publishing. So, especially now in the 21st century and in a hopeful post-pandemic world, editing and publishing is changing. It's always adapting to its present moment. So we've heard a lot about ebooks. We've heard a lot about sort of digital platforms and digital writing, and those things will always be a part now of our culture. Yet the making of physical books is still very much at the center of what we do, and really is still at the center of what most major publishers do. So that's where we come in. We print all of our books here in Stevens Point at local printers. We make sure that our students run that first run and help sell that first run. We don't just immediately upload our books to, say, Amazon's print-on-demand service or some other type of print-on-demand service where you don't need to have books written up front or books printed up front. We pride ourselves on that. So we're also, though, unique among publishing houses in that all of our titles are produced by students. So again, editorial, production, design, sales, marketing, all of those departments are staffed by students taking coursework with me here at the university. Again, we publish primarily trade fiction and short fiction and poetry, and nonfiction, memoir, regional history, and special projects for community partners. So we have many series. Our legacy series is for short fiction. Our Portage Poetry series is, of course, for poetry. Our Back Home series, which is relatively new, is for nonfiction focused on the Midwestern experience. And then we do have the Wisconsin Heritage series, which currently has one title, The Wisconsin Idea, but we're always looking for new editions of important and forgotten Midwestern regional texts that we can bring out. And these series give students an opportunity to work in many different genres, which, if they're entering into this as a career, it's good for them to have as much experience possible across multiple genres. So they're not just pigeonholed into doing, say, just one genre. We're good at poetry, we're good at novels, we're good at memoir. We give our students as much breadth as possible so that they really have a leg up on the competition once they make it out into the field. So some fun facts about us. We're the only press of our kind in the University of Wisconsin system, though there are different publishing programs in the system. We're one of 4 undergraduate student staff presses in the United States. That number is changing, by the way. There may be a couple of more. I try to keep my ear on the ground as to where some other ones are popping up. It's a very unique model, having undergraduate students work on a full-on press. So not just a literary magazine, not just, say, a student newspaper or some other sort of print form, which are very ubiquitous and very important to a lot of different universities and English and communication departments. We have a full-on publishing house, which is a much larger endeavor. Since 2016, the press has sold over 5,500 books, so over 1,000 books per year. Which is a lot of books for a small press of our size and in our location here in central Wisconsin. So in 2021, the press surpassed the $15,000 revenue mark for the first time. And I share that for one reason, is that it's hard to sell books and it's hard to make money selling books. And so when you're able to be successful, whether that's authors really putting forth the effort to push their work, whether that's students going to festivals and book sales, whether that's us getting connected to bookstores and different events, to make a profit on the books is really important because our authors receive royalties. And then on top of that, our press only operates with the money that we generate through sales. We're a program revenue. I think that's right. Program revenue account. Yeah, something like that. A little more business end. But we generate our income, and then that income helps us continue to make books. We don't have a line item, a budget line item from the university. We run our own business end. So press authors come from all over the United States. So the question I get a lot is, oh, do you publish student work? Are all of your authors from Stevens Point? Well, the short answer there is no. They come from all over the U.S. Just like any other publishing house, we accept manuscript submissions from all over the place. We're hoping that they target to the genre that we are good at publishing, which again is short fiction, poetry, memoir. So we've had to turn away, say, a lot of novels and because a lot of people publish novels, and we've decided that for our model, short fiction, poetry, and memoir seem to work really well for our students and for our staff. But they're from everywhere: Ohio, Connecticut, New York, Alaska, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, and of course, we do have a wonderful stable of writers from Wisconsin. And so we really focus on the Midwest. As you can see, a lot of our authors are from the Midwestern states. But that doesn't mean that we don't accept writing from other places and from other people. And we're really excited that we've really stretched ourselves out across the Midwest and into different parts of the U.S. And we're always excited to bring on new writers. Just a funny number. Our press has vetted nearly 250 individual manuscripts since 2016. So in a roughly 5-year span, that's about 50 to 60 manuscripts per year that we are looking at cover letters, which, by the way, we'll talk about in another class for us today for this series. But we go through all of these materials to determine what books we want to acquire. And then two of the more recent writers that we've published in our Legacy series, which is our trade short fiction, are graduates of the Iowa Writers Workshop. So Suzanne Davis and Joe O'Malley, and their preeminent creative writing program in the United States is at the Iowa Writers Workshop. So we're really proud that we've been able to pull some really uniquely talented individuals to write for us and for us to publish their work. We're really proud of that. So what do students do with the experience, right? So the question always is, well, what are students going to get out of this? Aside from a really fun atmosphere of working with books and writers and getting to know the industry that you hopefully want to be a part of, all of the things listed, I'm not going to say them all out loud, all of the different industries listed are actual industries or fields that students that have graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point's Department of English after working with the Cornerstone Press have gone on to take part in. So all of these different fields, and this is just a sampling. I imagine there are so many more fields that we just need to keep charting where our students go and what they do and how they use their press and publishing experience to their advantage. We get all types of students that have varying interests. And so we really, really hope that working with the press gives students a chance to up their professional and career goals and to then help them really see themselves as professionals. That's really an important part of the process as well. So the way that our press is led, the way our organization works from sort of a top-down structure, I am the director and the publisher. The director is more of the teaching end. The publisher is the actual business end. So I am the boss, so to speak, of the press. Everything kind of flows through me. My good friend Jeff Snowbarger in the Department of English, he is our executive editor. Him and I work together on a number of projects. Jeff is really great with special projects and with always giving another set of eyes to projects so that we know that we're putting out the best possible books. And Jeff has a wonderful connections to the writing industry that I just don't have. Jeff is a writer. I am an academic writer, so it's really nice to have Jeff on board. And then our development coordinator is Alexis Neely, who is an alumni of the university. She got her degree in English, and she helps us with a bunch of different ideas and promoting diversity and inclusivity in our press and widening our scope so that we're bringing in more and more writers as we develop. And Lexi's been a wonderful part of the staff. And then we have specific departments. So those are the only non-student positions, the executive staff. And those don't change. The three of us sort of maintain our positions. The department's editorial, production, media, and sales. Media is kind of an interesting conglomerate now. I've been changing the title of that department for a while. It was just called the marketing department, but that didn't seem to do enough. And then it was marketing and promotions, and that didn't seem to say it right. So now I think it's the media department. So we have our director of operations, who is essentially the lead student that works directly with me as the right-hand person, and they also oversee sort of the staff. The chief of staff is their number two. Chief of staff is responsible. The chief of staff and the director of operations operate all of our launch events. They work with the writers with specific events and promotions. Then our editor-in-chief, of course, runs the editorial department, which is really important. So all the vetting that goes on with that, content editing, copy editing, things we will learn about in class number 2. And our managing editor is the apprentice to the editor-in-chief. So we really have an apprentice model so that semester by semester, we can have students roll into a new position each year and we don't lose a lot of momentum. So basically, managing editor is sort of the vice editor, the number 2. They work in tandem. Our production director is in charge of all of the design elements, so the book cover, the interior layout, working closely with the publisher to make sure that we adhere to the templates that the press has set up. We use the industry standard software, Adobe Photoshop and Adobe InDesign, to create all of our books. So students get a great experience working with industry standard software that they will need to use if they want to be part of the industry. And then we have our media director, who is in charge of marketing and promotions and helping the chief of staff and director of operations with events. Right now, due to the pandemic, all of our events for launch events are webinars, which have been really wonderful. We've really enjoyed using the webinar as a primary mode of outreach. And then finally, we have our sales director, who works closely with the publisher with sales. And right now, during the pandemic, it's been almost all online sales, but we're really happy to have those different departments. And then, of course, we have senior assistants who've been with the press at different points throughout their collegiate careers. And that works really well, having people that have been around for a while that know what's going on, and they help in various ways in various departments. So again, the courses and the internships that we staff the press with are in spring and fall. We have editing and publishing and book and publication design. And then in the summer, we have small press management, as well as some internships, depending on funding levels and whatnot. So students in the courses, so there's roughly 46 students a year in the 2 semester classes, then roughly 10 students in the summer. So 55 to 56 students every year take part in the press in some way. They're hired for executive positions based on applications that they turn in. We have an apprenticeship approach that allows students to work within departments and make their way up the ladder. And then, of course, during the summer, we manage various special projects, and students take either credits or they work as a paid intern. And so this summer, for instance, we're working on 4 separate titles in different stages of production. and all of our different series. So Back Home, which is memoir and nonfiction, Portage Poetry, which is poetry, and Legacy, which is short fiction. All of those are being worked on in some fashion this summer in editorial and production. So it's a pretty eventful time. So what is this class going to do after this nice introduction? We will cover acquisitions, editorial, production, and marketing and sales in different ways. And it's about engaging in the public humanities. So how does this press work with the public, and what does that mean for the humanities, which again is English, philosophy, history, religious studies, different fields that have traditionally been seen as sort of not like the STEM fields, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, but humanities are more of the liberal arts fields. And so how does the press engage in the public humanities in a way that makes our mission interesting and integral to the university and to the community at large? And so each of our classes will cover those things. Okay, so here's some contact information for the press: our website, our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, the way that you can get a hold of us if you're interested in the press's titles. I'll show these each of our presentations so that you get these all the time. But I'll stop sharing. But what we're really looking for in this class is just to engage and to show you what it is the press does, how we do it, and ways in which the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point is providing not only central Wisconsin, but the Midwest and potentially the United States a way for writers to get their work out there in quality packaging, with students that are dedicated to the work that they do and that believe in the work that they do right here in central Wisconsin. So with that, this is the end of course number 1. Our next course will deal with acquisitions and editing, and we'll be looking at some different items and case studies and discussing those things too. So thank you everybody for watching, and I look forward to seeing you at our next meeting. All right, take care. Bye.